The Shirak province has all the transport links the Crossroads of Peace requires: a railway, the North-South Highway, and an airport. Our older generation remembers very well the immense economic activity that existed when the railway operated along the route from Gyumri to Kars. The younger generation may not fully picture it, but Gyumri, a border city positioned right at the crossroads, is set to become the primary hub for all these economic flows. The greater part of the economic activity from both the North-South Highway and the railway will pass right through Gyumri and the Shirak province. Today, we cannot even fully grasp the scale of success that the opening of these roads will bring to the province. And most importantly, the key factor that will maximize the efficiency and multiplier effect of the Crossroads of Peace, not only for the Shirak province, but for the whole of Armenia, is the Dry Port project. Together with the Ministry of Economy and the government, we are working quietly and consistently on this initiative. At this stage, active efforts are already underway on the allocation of lands and territories, covering both privately owned and community-owned land. The interest in this project is extremely high. Major players and investment companies from many of the world's leading countries are deeply interested in this venture. The relations between the Kars province and the Shirak province go back to the 1990s, and there are signed official documents to that effect. In those years, it was my father who handled this work. For the first time back in the 90s, an Armenian delegation visited Kars through the Akurik checkpoint. The border was opened, the Armenian side crossed over into Turkey, and afterwards a delegation from Kars visited Gyumri by that very same route. It was during that time that the agreement to establish the Gyumri-Kars Coordination Center was signed, intended to foster and activate ties between the two cities and regions. My father organized all of this, and being young at the time, I always followed these developments with great interest, trying to understand the processes underway. In the late 90s, the momentum was remarkably strong, pointing toward the logical reopening of the railway, but for various reasons, diplomatic ones among them, everything came to a halt. Even so, because demand was substantial, entrepreneurs from our region began working in that direction, mainly routing through Georgia. This was one of the most vital strategic directions for the economic development of the Shirak province, one that should have continued without interruption ever since the 90s. Today, thank God, we have peace and the opportunity to resume these processes, to achieve the opening of the borders, and to see the railway relaunched. Today, our focus is on the Gyumri to Kars railway, but we must clearly recognize that this is not merely a link between two cities. For the entire world, it is the main crossroads connecting the north-south and east-west directions. The economic activity and the benefits will be shared not only by the residents of Shirak, but by the whole population of Armenia, because major international freight will pass through this very corridor. To this end, working groups have been formed on both the Armenian and the Turkish sides to deal with the technical aspects of the railway and the border opening process. Last year, we hosted a delegation from Turkey. First, the Armenian delegation visited Kars, where talks were held at the station, and the condition of the railway track was inspected. After that, they came over to the Armenian side through the Akurik checkpoint, examined our section, and the discussions then continued in Gyumri. The main policy the government has adopted is the balanced, proportionate development of communities, and we are moving firmly along that path. The Shirak province is highly diverse. Gyumri is our tourism center. In Ane, we have the Yehreruk Basilica, as well as a joint project to restore the Ani Bridge, which sits right in the border zone. The region is home to many monuments, Vahrama bird, and other historical and cultural sites that matter greatly for both domestic and international tourism. Indeed, advancing tourism is one of our central visions. In the northern sectors, Ashatsk and Amasya, which are mountainous and have a much colder climate, crop cultivation is not as developed, so there we place the emphasis on animal husbandry and run dedicated programs in that direction. In the more southern sectors, the Ani, Artik, and Akuryan communities, general agriculture is considerably more developed. Gyumri, naturally, serves as the center for tourism, the IT sector, and other modern fields. We are already preparing for the opening of the Crossroads of Peace from the standpoint of economic activity. We have a clear picture of which sectors will grow the fastest once the borders open, and we are already working with local business people so that we are fully ready for this pivotal phase. The vision for the Shirak province is very broad, all the more so because we have rich manufacturing traditions. In the Soviet era, Gyumri was one of the largest centers of light industry, with numerous factories in operation. Even today, there are enterprises that carry on that tradition. Though not on the same scale, they maintain active production and export their goods to various countries. The government, too, provides substantial support to local business. For example, entrepreneurs in the Shirak province have made use of more than 6 billion drams in support programs, which include customs duty privileges and value-added tax refunds. In addition, businesses have received a further 4.5 billion drams in state assistance through various programs: leasing, the purchase of modern equipment, agricultural projects, smart livestock barns, and the development of beekeeping. In other words, in total around 10.5 billion drams has been directed toward developing business, creating new jobs, and expanding production across the Shirak province. We often concentrate only on the economic component of the Crossroads of Peace, and sometimes forget its security dimension. Yet this project, first and foremost, strengthens the peace that already exists and becomes a powerful guarantee of security, turning Armenia into a crossroads for the world.